Hello, I am Michael Moritz, and here is my photo ID. Okay. Joining me is my grandpa Larry, my grandma Dora, my mom Rhea. Alright. Set you back here. Alright. So imagine you are going to leave and you want to go across the country or even take a plane and go somewhere. When you get there, they tell you they can't do anything for you and basically you're not allowed to go anywhere because you don't have the right from a man, basically. This was an issue until not that long ago for the women in Saudi Arabia. We as a country in the United States are not perfect by any means. Even though we say we are free, there are people that will argue the fact that there are biases that we can't just quite get past from time to time. But we are still a lot further than some of the places outside of our country. Like, it is very important to know things about the countries that surround us, even if they're all the way across the world. We need to know what is going on there because it's all in the big picture. It makes it easier if you ever meet anybody. It's not as much of as a culture shock. In Saudi Arabia, according to BorgenProject.org, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, in 2019, women finally got the right to travel and to have a passport without the okay of a male guardian. In Saudi Arabia, they have a male guardianship system that makes it so that the women from birth until death is practically what it is. They will have a man that tells them everything they do, how they're going to live, and everything gets scrutinized down to the littlest things. In a quote from HRW.org, which stands for the Human Rights Watch, they quoted I believe it's pronounced Rania. She is a 34-year-old Saudi woman, and they quoted her with, "We are entrusted with raising the next generation, but you can't trust us with ourselves. It doesn't make any sense." This is a great argument in my opinion. If you can't trust the women with their own bodies, then why do you expect them to raise your children up and do everything correctly if the people teaching them can't do it correctly? Like, would a baseball coach be coaching an MLB team if he had never watched a baseball game before? But they have made some steps. They've recently opened up the labor market. For women, in the sense of women don't no longer have to have jobs that are women-like jobs. They've opened it up but this is mainly because they're trying to step away from relying on their oil. So it may not be completely for the women, but that's an argument to be had. Even though they are making these steps, Saudi Arabia is not looking good for their 2030 plan. Their 2030 plan is for the year 2030, and they would like to see women as a great asset to their economy and to their society, but they can't do that under the male guardianship system, because how are women going to be respected if they can't even go to work without the okay of a man. Recently, they had gotten rid of that rule, gotten rid of that law that women had to have the man's okay to work. However, the government of Saudi Arabia does not penalize businesses if the businesses themselves require a man's okay. I'd like to take a look at their history and basically explain why they're like this. Saudi Arabia is mainly a Islamic country, and this means that they follow the Sharia law, which is mainly the reasons why it takes so long for them to go forward. Up until recently, women couldn't even drive, but now they can, and they're starting to learn how to drive. There are already women drivers on the roads in Saudi Arabia. Just for an example, to show you how far we are from them, Saudi Arabian women were not allowed to go to college until the 1950s. For us, women were allowed to go to college over 100 years before in 1831. Just for reference, I will show you guys this. You may or may not be able to read that. But as I'll read it off real quick. In 1869, for the U.S., Elizabeth Cady Stanton founded the National Woman Suffrage Movement. In 1920, the 19th Amendment gives women the right to vote. In January of 1932, there was the first woman elected to the U.S. Senate. In 1963, the Equal Pay Act, regardless of race, color, religion, nationality, and sex, was put into place. In 1981, the first woman of Supreme Court, and January of 2021 was the first women's vice president, Kamala Harris. Make sure I'm in the picture. And in recent history for Saudi Arabia, in 2013, 30 women were appointed to the highest advisory body of the king, who also is the main reasons of these recent steps, as in the driving, the traveling, and getting onto the advisory board, obviously. Now let's relate more of this to the U.S. When you look at them getting jobs, the women getting jobs, businesses still make them some businesses can still make them have male's consent to work there, which just would not fly here in the U.S. at all. And whereas we have had so many speakers for women's and women's rights in the past of the U.S. history, they have had some, but they have not had any like they have recently with the Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who NPR.org calls a risk taker, and he's the reason why they've just all of a sudden had nothing, and then now they're taking which in my opinion seems like big steps for their situation. Alright, that's it. Thank you. I'll go around. Thank you, Grandpa and Grandma and my lovely mom.